Welcome to the American Contractor Show, the show that's all about American contractors living the American dream. I'm your host, John Dye. Each episode will introduce you to contractors just like you who have beaten the odds and leveled up their game to become the dominant force in their markets. Together, we'll explore the tools and tactics that unlock the secrets to their success. Join me as we begin the journey that leads to the realization of your American dream. Welcome back, and today is the HailTrace demo, and I'm really excited because Derek Klein's here. He's our good friend over at HailTrace and one of the founders, or the founder of HailTrace. Thank you so much for being here, man, and being a part of this demo today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. Excited to kind of talk about some of the cool stuff we've been working on and building in the background of HailTrace.
Dude, I think HailTrace is such a powerful tool, and everyone knows that HailTrace is really good at building maps and giving people those locations where you guys have figured out that there's hail. And just real quickly, just give us an overview of those maps and kind of how that came to be, and then we'll get into the other side of it, because I think there's a lot more that you guys do besides just maps.
Yeah, so we started making maps back in 2010. It was just myself at the time, and really didn't even know that roofs got damaged by hail. So I'm just a weather nerd. So I'm not from the roofing industry. A lot of people know that, but if you don't, I don't have any background in this up until the last 10 years or so. But I do enjoy business. I enjoy marketing, and then I enjoy weather a lot. And so a big hailstorm had impacted, in fact, I can show you here, but a big hailstorm had impacted my area where I live back in 2010. And when that hailstorm came through, it essentially had a contractor that just asked me, hey, could you make a hail map showing me the areas that were impacted by hail? And so I just went through and pulled all the data that I could find and made a map. And she told me that it was super accurate, and just kind of went from there. So it was kind of a fun start to it. A lot of work, obviously, in between now and then, but we've kind of rooted ourselves in this idea that we want to use meteorologists to amp up the accuracy, make our maps more accurate than just what an algorithm can provide.
Well, and the maps are, become kind of a staple in our industry. Everyone can get a map. Maps are really pretty. Now, a good map, obviously, you guys produce better maps than everyone else, and we can get into a whole discussion about the maps and why your maps are better. And it's pretty simple, I think. But what I really wanted to focus on today was beyond just the map. That's a cool map. Look at that. Yeah. It's really nice. I guess you could give us a real quick overview. Why is this map better than other maps that other companies have?
Yeah, so there's I think the big thing is that we do use meteorologists. Now, the one back in 2010 isn't going to have as much as we put into some of our newer ones, but you can see like on these newer ones. So one of the things, so we have the radar data, right? And every company has radar data. So the difference is the algorithm is it's going to have one viewpoint of that storm, right? It's a mathematical equation. And so it's going to have this one concept of what the results of that storm actually are. And so in some ways, and sometimes that one viewpoint can be correct. It's not like it's always wrong. There's a reason why our competitors do get business, and they're not always wrong. But sometimes in weather, as most of you know, it's not always just a singular viewpoint, right? Like how many times has your TV meteorologist told you it was going to be sunny and 75 and it was raining at 55, right? Like sometimes things
let's not go there.
That doesn't always work out the way we want it to, right? So, what is it that goes into that? Well, all those forecasts are built by algorithms and these models. And so just little tweaks in that mathematical equation can cause a difference. And so what we like about the way that we do it is we have 6 different meteorologists that can analyze that radar data, that algorithm, all that data that goes out there. And now we can adjust, we can pivot when we think something is different. And one of the tools that we use outside of just radar is social media, right? A lot of contractors get out there and look at social media to see, was it a good hailstorm or not? Well, we do the same thing, and we do this live as we track the storm. And so, for example, like we can click on these little cameras here and we can get an idea of what the hail actually looked like that impacted a particular storm. And it makes it really, really nice for us to get better details, right? So I can go, okay, well, at Northeast 122nd North Air Depot Boulevard in Edmond, this was a look at what the hell happened. And we'll even try to take into account some of the background stuff. So you can see it's kind of blurred in the background, but I can see on the sidewalk there's a pretty good chunk of hail that's laying on the sidewalk. And if I look in the mulch, I can see lots of little white dots in there. I can't really tell how big they are, but I can tell that there is a decent amount of hail there. So some of those details go into that as well. But let's say that the radar didn't show hail, and I can actually tell you specifically on this storm, the radar did not show golf ball to 2-inch size hail at this location. But we were able to analyze along with a lot of other data and find out, you know what, we need to have it mapped there. Even more importantly is that we were able to take that specific information, right? So we're able to look at radar at that time when that image was taken and go, okay, in this particular part of the storm, we are getting 2-inch hail. And now we can carry that out to the rest of the storm. So if we don't get pictures in a particular location, it's okay because we've gotten data from another part of that storm that lets us know that hail continued and carried over. So it's just it's kind of a lot of analysis that we can put together and compile as much data as possible. And because it's not algorithmic driven, we can now adjust, we can pivot, and we can make that map a little bit more accurate than what it would have been otherwise.
So we've got really accurate data then. You guys produce this amazing data that you guys can stand behind. It's right. It's got as close as we can possibly get right now. Yep. But beyond that, though, obviously this data is going to let a contractor maybe go out and he's going to go to this part of Oklahoma City and he's going to knock doors or do whatever he's going to do based on this data. But that's really not what you guys are really aiming for right now, though. You guys have gone a lot deeper with your systems and really changed the way a lot of this stuff is done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like I said, business is also kind of a passion. Now, it's not anywhere close to my passion for weather, but I do love business. I love the idea of strategy. And so as I'm looking at this data from these storms, I kind of like to put myself in the contractor's shoes. And just from feedback from contractors as well. But I like to go, well, what would I do, right? How would I be able to utilize or generate data that would be helpful to me? And so that's kind of, as we build features into our app, into our website, those are the types of things that we like to keep in mind so that we're able to produce a product that not only just shows them where it hails at, because that obviously that has a value to you, but it has a value for 10 minutes, right? You figure it out and then you get to work. So once you get to work, how can I make you more productive? How can I make you more money? Those are the types of things that we want to focus on when it comes to making the data that we're providing you to the next level. How can we take it to that next level? And so that's been a big focus of ours. And it starts in a couple of different ways for us. So the first way is just overlaying data, right? So let's create layers to the data so that way we can get an idea, what the history is at a particular address. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Some of those ways are just to, like I did here where I've got a circle on the map and I'm just loading in maps that have impacted that area. So that's one way to overlay data, right? So you can see all these different maps that are coming into play now all of a sudden. And we can talk about wind and tornadoes, or we can talk about hail, like you've got a little tornado up here, you've got wind. So we can overlay all this data and it creates a story at a particular address, right? And we could actually click on, let's say one of our customers to tell what that story is. And you can see here now, all of a sudden, so I've got, Thomas Irwin. This is just a made up so don't call the number, right? It's not going to help you out any, but
He's been taken care of, folks. He's got a new roof.
So we've got him here, right? And all of a sudden now I've got this list of all the impacts that he's had all the way back to 2009 at this particular address, right? So July 16th, $half size hail, golf ball size hail. We've had some wind impacts. So we've had a lot of different impacts.
Man, Thomas is a great customer,
right? I mean, it's so, and this was something. This was actually kind of an epiphany for me. This was something that I noticed, right? So like when I first start, right? So like I see and I get this April 26th storm. I remember this storm. It was a really, really good hailstorm. And then all of a sudden I see he gets hit again in 2014. Then he gets hit again in 2019, right? So at like what point, how many times has this Thomas Irwin needed a roof replacement? So that was like the first question that popped into my head that started telling me, you know what, there's something here. Like we need to track this data a little bit better, or at least contractors should be tracking this data a little bit better. And so like the way that I saw it was, if this was my customer, I would have wanted to know, let's say I replaced his roof in 2009. Well, then he gets hit again in 2013. So I want to call him now again in 2013. I know the way this industry has transitioned into a much more aggressive lead gen type of industry. So I've got to be on my toes to get a hold of Thomas to be able to, make an impact really with him, right? And try to get that business again. Now, maybe in 2014, it kind of depends on the type of roof I put on, right? So like if I've got a 3-tab roof, I may want to go back out and do another inspection. I don't know that I'll be totaled or not, but 1.25 inch hail on a 3-tab is much more impactful than 1.25 inch on maybe an impact resistant or maybe, a concrete tile roof or something like that. So now all of a sudden I'm wanting to track our customers and know when they get hit with hail, but I'm also wanting to track the data around my customers too. What type of roof do they have? How old is it? All these different variables that go into what creates damage from a particular storm and what doesn't. And so we wanted to create a way to where we could filter that data around an actual storm impact. So now we're not just talking about, okay, who was impacted? Like, let me see a visual picture of the area that was impacted with hail. But now we're talking about, okay, of my customers, which ones had 3-tab roofs? Because I think those are the ones that are going to sustain damage from this particular storm. And more importantly, maybe did any of them have like a 5 or a 6-year-old roof? Because if they had a 3-tab that's 5+ years old, those are the ones that I need to be contacting. And so, starting to keep track of that data we found was very, very important. And being able to now take a storm and go, you know what, in some areas, this storm maybe not as impactful as I would like, but in other areas it might be more impactful. And so instead of just skipping the storm, I can now realize that this storm does have value to my company, and I can move forward with working the proper areas as opposed to searching areas that I shouldn't be searching. So, so as we keep going forward, so, let's say, so there's a couple of things that I see as impactful. So I'm going to clear this map. So we kind of overlaid a bunch of stuff here. So let's just clear it all off. So I'm going to hit the little clear button. All right. So now we have no storms. Let's go back to just one storm. So let's just pretend that this particular storm came through. There's a couple of things that I might be interested in, right? So obviously this is Thomas down here, and he wasn't impacted by this storm. So we know we're not interested in reaching out to Thomas. But let's say that, to me, first thing that I need to do is contact my existing customers. So I've got my map loaded. So if I go up here to details, it's super easy just to click impacted HailTrace customers and then click here, and I can download the list of all of my customers that were impacted. Now, what's really cool is that it's going to download all of that data, and I'm going to show you how to create kind of a custom workflow, if you will, around getting data put into your HailTrace software, because that's the important part, right? If I just have the customer's name and phone number, it's going to be absolutely useful, right? It's going to help me out tremendously. I'm going to be able to reach out. But if I find out, for example, that this storm wasn't super impactful on impact resistant or, upper end roofs, then maybe I need to focus on my 3 tabs and my older roofs. And so if I have that data that I extracted, then that's going to help me out tremendously. And so I can extract that Excel spreadsheet. Let's say I got email address. Well, I can now email all of my customers that were just impacted. And because these storms are mapped live, it makes it so quick that we can literally, like I can literally have this list, within minutes of my customers being impacted. So I mean, we're talking about being able to get out there and talk to our customers before my competitors can even step foot in their truck. And I think that's the important part behind our customers. And that's why, in my opinion, step one is focus on your existing customer base. Let's get that existing customer base contacted, reached out to. Let's get inspections scheduled. It might just even be as simple as calling to let them know, hey, we need to do a warranty checkup because your home was impacted with hail. And that gives us an excuse to go out and make sure that the roof is still under warranty. And if it's not, we know that we have a hail claim that we need to file.
That's cool.
So what's really cool though too is, in addition to that, let's say that we didn't just want the list. Let's say that I want to take a look at different pieces of data, right? So I don't have a whole lot of clients in this particular account, but I do have two. They're right up here. You can see this little cluster of two. That's telling me that I have two customers. But let's say, what I'm interested in is I'm curious of my customers, which ones were, let's say, impacted that had 3-tab roofs. So I could actually come down here, and I've created a custom field, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. But I could come down here and create a filter to include only customers that have a 3-tab roof. And notice the two went away, and now we only have the one. And we have Thomas down here, right? But he's not impacted by the storm, but he's still on the map. And we know that he had a 3-tab roof. We saw that just a minute ago. It also tells me that he was impacted by severe weather on August 26, 2019. And then we have this Ultimate HR LLC that was impacted on March 27th, 2020, which is the storm that we're looking at right now. And so you can see how easy it was to filter this. And now, so any customers that we had previously on this map, if they do not have 3-tab as listed as their roof type, they will not show up on this map. So imagine this on a bigger scale, right? Imagine that you've got 1,000 customers put in here, and you have 250 of them that had 3-tab roofs. Now all of a sudden I can visually look at the 250 3-tab roofs that are my customers. In addition to that, I can now extract that data into an Excel spreadsheet and also email all my 3-tab customers that were impacted with hail.
Yeah, so, that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that's to me, that's step one, right? That's the first thing that I'm going to do. The second thing that I'm going to do is I want to know all these other people, right? Look at all these houses that were impacted. I'm more curious now all of a sudden about all these people. And so what's really cool is I can now take this. And so what I've done is I've taken this storm and I've actually extracted the data out of it. And you can see it actually gave me a list of all the people that were impacted. Now,
wow.
Let's say that I'm more interested in kind of your upper echelon type customer, right? So I like the bigger roofs. I don't like the smaller roofs. And so what I actually did was, and for those of you that aren't super familiar with Excel, all I did was click on this top row, and I told it to create a filter on the top. And what I wanted to do was, on this filter, I wanted to go through and select, and I actually just selected all the homes that were worth $900,000 or more. So my list now is only $900,000 homes or more in value. And that's all that I'm going to see. And we have, I can tell you, so there's 190 of them that are actually on this particular list. So
and this list also has email addresses, it looks like?
Yeah, so
phone numbers,
email addresses. We've got sometimes mobile, sometimes home phone. So we've got a lot of different data, listed here.
I'm just thinking, man, if I had that list and I was a roofer, I could put that into a really nice Facebook campaign.
Mm-hmm. Right. Like with all the Facebook campaigns that you can build now, it's so amazing. There's addresses, names.
Yep.
Right? Like we can now take all that data and put it into a Facebook campaign. It could be a MailChimp campaign that you do. Depending on, if you're going to do calling, make sure that you have the proper things set up for you to call properly. There are certain restrictions on that. So you want to make sure that you're not calling people on the do not call list. And I think you have to actually get a call ID if you're going to do that. Otherwise, just have, one of your local call center friends reach out to those people. They can always handle that for you if you're not set up for that. But, super easy. We were able to generate this list, right? And one of the things that I think, obviously, you can do all that campaigning and stuff, but I want to know where they're at too, right? Because in addition to, maybe we're going to call them, maybe we're going to email them, maybe we're going to do a Facebook campaign to them, right? So we're going to target these people, but the more touches I can get with them, the better off I'm going to be. So let's say maybe I want to, maybe I want to go through and actually know where they're at on the map too, so I can send a sales rep out to knock on their door. We could hand deliver a letter or a postcard or maybe something to put on their door, right? There's so many different things that we could do to get super creative. And because these are high end homes, right? We're not talking about, your 10, 15 square roofs. I mean, we're talking about some high end, we'll probably have some concrete stuff in there, some tile, like, your better impact resistant shingles. Like, these are some good roofs. And so one of the things that we can do, so I'm going to do two things, right? So if we go to our settings tab, we can actually go create custom fields. That's the first thing that we just talked about. So let's say that I wanted to create a roof type field. It's super easy. So I go to contact. So contacts and markers. Contacts are my customers. Markers are my canvassing, right? My lead prospect type stuff. So I can go to contacts and I can click create and say what type of field I want to create. Right. So let's say that we want to select the type of roof. So I don't want my guys typing in information. I highly recommend anytime you can do a select option over a type in option, do it. And the reason why is because you're gonna mess up your data, right? So if I had my guys type in 3 tab, what I'm gonna find is one's gonna do 3 tab with no space, one's gonna do 3 tab with space. Somebody's gonna fat finger and do 3 TB instead of 3 tab. Somebody's going to do 3T just to be short, right? So in order to pull all the people that have 3 tab roofs, I'm going to have to actually filter 15 different options because they're going to do it in different ways. But otherwise, I could just go in here and just create my own 3 tab, and they have to select that every time, right? And then we would just give it a label. Placeholder is typically the same thing in most of your website stuff. The width that we want the column to show up, so we could say half width. And we could actually create groups. And so I've created a roof information group. And so we would just hit save. It's going to tell me it already exists because I've already done this, but it's that simple. And so now we would have that field created up underneath here. And you can do the same thing on your canvassing pins, or like maybe you don't canvas, but maybe you're building a prospect list. And that's kind of what I wanted to show you. So let's say that we take that list of 190,000 or 190 homes that were $900,000 in value or more, and we want to upload them as a marker into our field, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to click next, and then we're going to select the Excel file that we want to upload. There we go. And we're going to click next. I mean, literally, it's going to walk you through step by step what you need to do. So it says choose an Excel column to map the HailTrace marker type. So we just need to pick one that we want to use as the type of HailTrace marker. In some ways, you can actually do that. You could create your own too, right? So let's say, we have all this data. So we could create a marker. And then we could just call it, prospect. And then we could just copy and paste that down, right? And so we would actually have that field. And so what will happen is let's say that we want to, I'm just going to use zip code because I don't have anything else. Actually, let's use hail size because I don't want different ones for everything. Okay, so we're going to use hail size. So 1.75 was what we pulled. So now we have, right, what the marker type is. Now we haven't created hail size as a marker type or 1.75. So we'll just create one. We can actually create, we can pick all the different types of fields, that we want, and then we can create it. Oop, did it twice. And so we have that created, right? And so it's very, very easy. And then you just go through and match the fields, and then you would upload it. And when you do that, so I've already done that, so we don't have to wait for the upload to actually take place, because it'll take, take 10 minutes or so to upload. Maybe not 190, but it'll take a minute to upload. Whoops. I get logged out.
We'll cut this, dude. Don't worry.
I know. I don't know if I got logged out or what happened. All right, there we go. All right, so what we're going to do is, so I'm just going to come in and turn on my pins, because I've already uploaded a list of pins, right? And that was just to do this for a demo to kind of shorten the process. But you can see now all of a sudden I have all of these pins that we've created in here. And so it gives me the ability to see where these high value homes are actually located at. And so it's super simple. And now I know exactly where I want to send my guys, and so like I label these as just HailTrace prospect. So that way I could differentiate what they are from, say, my door knocking, right, which is away, not home, all those different types of things. But you can see it shows me my home value, which actually did a little bit lower number. And it gives me like phone number, cell phone number, their name. So I have all this data that's listed here, and I can zoom in and see, okay, where are these homes that I plotted in here based off of the filter that I've created. And so now all of a sudden I know exactly where I want to send my sales reps, and which doors I want them to knock on. And so
that's cool.
So we were able to create that filter to give us the proper data and cover the areas that we want to send our guys. And so it's super powerful in being able to be more strategic, as at least for maybe this is like your top end sales reps, or maybe you're just super strategic on the roofs that you want to do. Some companies, I know it's, we do them all, right? But some companies we don't. And some companies, we're more strategic about the level of roof that they actually want to do. And so this makes it very easy for us to be able to go in and hand pick that data.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of our contractors talking about how they've been using this for canvassing with really great success.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's one of those things too. Like I can't stress this enough. You have to get in and use it. Too often, like we'll do like a training session with a customer, and they won't touch it for 2 weeks after the training session. Well, you're just not going to understand. You're not going to remember all the little details, right? You're supposed to click here. So if you can, go through a training session and then immediately go out and knock doors, or immediately go out and do some research on an address for all the different hail information, or immediately, I want to see my customers that were impacted by the storm that happened 2 weeks ago. Immediately use the software, and then make it a part of your day-to-day habits, right? Make it a part of the process. What is your process that you go through when a storm happens and when a storm doesn't happen? Because we, in this industry, we work in two different scenarios. There's an abundance of hail damage in a localized area, and then there's scattered hail damage from whatever storm, right? It could be from 15 different storms. We don't know what that solution is, but there are two different scenarios, and neither one of them are wrong. They both work, and depending on the situation, you might work both. And so you really have to come up with two different processes that you want to go through in order to work both like that. And so I think it's extremely powerful in order for you to kind of build off of that and understand what your process is and move it in that right direction.
Yeah, I love it, dude. That's some great tools. I can only imagine back when I was selling, 10 years ago, how much of a game changer this would have been. I mean, we just had a basic map that we can go off of. And this is a whole different world.
Yeah, it's definitely, like I said, the idea is how can we turn this data into a sales tool and not just a visualization that you put up on your war room wall, right? How can we turn this into money? There's just so much data that's involved around it, even all the way back to just like, for example, if you upload your contacts, you can see them. You can see them all listed right here, right? So again, in this particular account, I only have a handful of addresses that I put in here, but I could filter these in order of most recent impact date. So these two have been impacted since March 27th, and then these are down here a little bit older. But let's say that I keep track of roof age, which in this particular account I just did a year. So this roof was replaced in 2010 or older, right? So, well, they've been impacted with hail since their roof was replaced. Now, if I had that same data on all of these other accounts, imagine how powerful it would be to look side by side and go, okay, I replaced this roof in April of 2020, so I know it's okay. I replaced this one in January of 2020, so I know it's okay. But this one I replaced in March of 2017. So I should probably reach out to them because their roof is 2 years older than the most recent storm that's impacted them. And so, just a quick glance, we can find work that's out there. It's actually shocking that we'll take we call it a client audit here in our office. And so when we onboard a new customer, we really, it's one of the things that we push the most is, can we get your customers and can we get them put in here? And we would love it if you had the roof age, the last time that you roofed it. That doesn't mean that they didn't go with somebody else and get re-roofed, but according to the data that you have, when was the last time that they were roofed? And we want to run it against this side by side. And it's so powerful. You'd be shocked. We'll take typically companies with just a few hundred roofers. We find roofs that need to be replaced immediately. So, I mean, we're talking about paying for a software that pays for itself within the first week or two, right? And that's our goal, right? We don't want this to be something that it takes an entire year for you to get the investment out of. We want this to be a tool that you can jump into within the first week. You can successfully go out and close sales that pay for the tool within the first week. So everything else is just gravy after that.
I like it, dude. This is phenomenal, and I think that a lot of people don't realize what HailTrace can really do and what it's really capable of.
Yeah, it's again, a lot of work goes into that. A lot of feedback from contractors. We're super thankful of all of our customers and people that maybe aren't customers that have given us feedback of things that they would like to see. A lot of networking at different events that we go to goes into just the ideas of building this. And then our customers paying us, we try to invest that back into this. So we've got a team of software developers now, and this is what they do. They code this stuff so we can make it work for them. And we take the feedback seriously. We have a whole new push that's coming at the first of the year with new features, ways to make things streamline and be a little bit easier for the contractor. So we've taken the feedback on some things that people didn't like, and we've taken some feedback on things that they did like and enhanced those. So, it's just kind of one of those, you just tweak at it all the time. If you're a car guy, you kind of wrench on your car, right? Until you probably never quit. And that's kind of the way HailTrace's website is. We just don't ever really quit. Like there's always something that we can work on. And in fact, we're just constantly hiring software developers to keep moving us forward.
That's so cool, and I see that firsthand, at all the shows and all the things that we do together, and watch how you guys interact with your customers, and it's evident that you guys do care and that you guys are trying to build these tools and make them better, because, man, these tools just don't exist in this type of with this data, because this data set is so unique, and to be able to overlay it and put it all together the way that you guys have. It's so valuable if you're a contractor that's trying to really capitalize on the storm opportunities that exist in our country right now.
Yeah, and like I said, I always tell people, again, there are two different opportunities that are out there. There is I've got a fresh storm. There's an abundance of damage in a localized area. We get after it, and we call that wait. If you're waiting on that, you're waiting on a hailstorm. But right. At the end of the day, when that hailstorm happens, you're not actually waiting on the storm. You were waiting on the damage that the storm created. And so if there is hail damage out there and you haven't had that storm, you should be actively looking for the hail damage, not waiting on a hailstorm. And so, get creative, think about ways to overlay data. If you need to, just go drive through neighborhoods that have had storms in the past and see which roofs didn't get replaced. Mark them on a map. Use the canvassing tool. Drop a pin. This one hasn't been replaced. This one hasn't been replaced. Build a map, if you will, of your community to understand where there are roofs that need to be replaced, and then that way you can know where to focus on until that next hailstorm happens. That provides that localized, high density area of hail damage.
I agree, man. Derek, kudos to you guys. Great work over at HailTrace, your whole team. Matt, appreciate all of them. Antonio, all the people that make HailTrace such an amazing company. You guys are killing it. I appreciate what you guys do here for American Contractor Show as well, and I'm really proud to be able to endorse this and show this to our clients and to our audience. And hopefully when you guys see this, when you contractors go in here and take a look at this stuff, this gives you a better in-depth look into what really is possible with these tools. It's so much more than just a map. It goes a lot deeper than that, and it's about data. And data is one of the most powerful tools that you can have as a business owner in 2020. And the abundance of it right now is so evident. Like, you can get data in so many different ways, but this is one of the most useful presentations of that data that can make you the most money, is what I believe at the end of the day. Because, you can pull call lists for all kinds of areas, but taking this and having it compiled directly with the storm data, dude, this is game-changing stuff right here.
Well, absolutely. We're just super excited to be in this industry, working with side by side with so many great people. Super thankful to you, John, for having us on here. We think it's so awesome. American Contractor Show is such a great resource, for pulling different pieces of information together, putting it in a way that's easy for the contractor to consume. So, you guys keep doing what you're doing. We're super excited to be a part of it, and we just love what we do, love what we work with. It's awesome.
We're thankful for you guys too, and we can't wait to get out in that truck and watch it get pounded by some hail this next spring.
That's right. That's a lot of fun.
Yeah, we're gonna definitely have to ride along with you guys and experience that firsthand, and hopefully not get sucked into a tornado. So
at least just not get killed if we do.
Yeah, that's the goal, right? Don't die. But I'm excited about it. I think it'll be a lot of fun, and you guys are doing great stuff, and I can't wait to connect with you guys further and do more stuff here in the future. But thank you so much for doing this, and thank you guys for watching today. This has been a great demonstration of HailTrace, and appreciate you so much, Derek.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks so much for watching today's show. Make sure to like and subscribe our pages so that you can stay up to date with every episode. And by the way, this show is all about you, the American Contractor. Be sure to comment and let us know what you want to hear about and what subjects you want us to touch on. We'll be sure to include them in a future episode. Thanks again, and I hope you have a great day.